What's going on, everyone? So the other day, the Indiana Pacers ended the Pascal Siakam sweepstakes, trading for Siakam in a Bruce Brown, 3 first-round picks type of move. And now the Toronto Raptors are looking to unload Bruce Brown. The Knicks are linked to Bruce Brown. We'll see how that goes, how that plays out. It's a huge pickup for the Indiana Pacers. But in order for the Toronto Raptors to complete the trade and make everything work, also the Pelicans got involved, the Toronto Raptors ended up having to waive somebody. And they decided, in a surprise, to waive Christian Koloko. Now, again, this is very surprising because last year, he's 23 years old. He was excellent last season for the Toronto Raptors, really promising, looking like somebody that could be a real building block cornerstone, a real 7-footer. This was a guy that was a second-round pick, the 33rd pick in the draft, and looked like a guy that, he definitely has long-term stability with the Toronto Raptors. And now he goes into training camp, and he's been dealing with a respiratory issue since basically before the season began. And thus, the Toronto Raptors have looked to waive him. Now, obviously, there are concerns in that regard. Like, can he get over that? Is he going to be able to get over that? What's going to happen with that? But he could be a very sought-after piece. Because, again, last season, he had a very solid showing. He had some very nice games. If you just, at glance, just look up his stats, then you're like, oh, no, this guy didn't do anything. But if you actually watch the Toronto Raptors play, you actually watched him play, he was very good for them. Just rebounding the basketball, being a shot blocker. He was even able to make some plays on occasion out of the post. You saw the vision for what he could be. You saw, okay, this guy could be a real building block in the right situation with the right team. He's 7 foot, 7'1", 230 pounds, can block shots, athletic, little bit of a shot, right? It's definitely something that needs to be worked out. It's definitely something that but you could see that maybe he could develop that long range 3, that long range shot. If you look up his stats last season, he shot 0.83%, but he only took 0.2 attempts. So it was like 1 every 10 games or whatever. And it was just kind of like when he was wide open. But outside of that, again, a guy that could be a quality piece. Now, here's the thing, right? He hasn't played this season because of the respiratory issue. So any team that would be willing to bring him in would be bringing him in with the expectation that he's probably not going to play this year, right? But he could be a guy that you could bring and develop, right? Kind of help him, have your medical staff and medical team, because you're going to get him dirt cheap. I mean, maybe even sign him on a 2-way, something along those lines, and you're just using him to develop and kind of be a bit of a project big. And then if he kind of gets over the respiratory issue and he gets the green light to return to action, then maybe you could kind of fill him in some spots, right? He's a guy that right now you don't want to play heavy minutes. Now, if you were like some tanking, rebuilding team, then sure, maybe you throw him out there and let him get his lumps. But right now, he's a guy that you just kind of would be more long-term development, but also a guy you could throw out there on occasion, maybe give you, like 8 to 10 minutes a game, and just give you some solid production in that time. Give you a couple buckets, give you a couple rebounds. Because look, I mean, even when you look at, again, the box scores, he averaged 14 minutes a game last season for the Toronto Raptors, started in 19 of those games. He total gave you 3 points, 3 rebounds, 1 block, and basically half of an assist. So, but that is in 14, we'll call it 14 minutes of action in a very limited role, right, as basically a rookie coming in. Like, that's solid for a guy getting that minimal production and a second-round pick that was looking to be in. Again, you can see the potential. He's not a guy that's going to come in and change the tides for any team. He's not a guy that's going to come in and change the tides for a team like the Lakers, which I don't hate the idea of the Lakers looking to bring him in. I wouldn't bring him to the main roster, right? Like, this isn't a move to the main roster. But here's my thinking is the Lakers hopefully, right, get a trade done. You're very likely trading D'Lo and whatever else. I do believe at some point the Lakers are probably going to bring Mays and maybe even Windler onto the main roster, which would free up two-way spots. To me, I think then the Lakers should go look and maybe add Christian Koloko to a two-way spot. Because then that way you can you have him under your banner, you have him locked up, you have him tied in, right? You sign him to like a 2-year, two-way deal. If he doesn't play this year, no biggie, not a big deal. You're not looking for him to come in onto the main roster, right? And if he can play, then you let him spend the year in the G League, get development, and then you look to maybe build him into a rotation spot or even as like your third big man next season. But my thinking is you lock him up now, right? Or you get him this season. Because I don't think teams are going to be just jumping at the opportunity to go get Koloko right now because, again, he has the respiratory issue, right? So every team is looking at, like, that's the only reason he really got waived, right? Is because Toronto's like, who knows if he's ever even going to get back to being able to play, which is a real concern, right? So that's why, to me, you can't take the risk on him being an actual roster piece. Not just that, but I wouldn't want, how much of a upgrade would he be to Jackson Hayes right now? Probably not much because, again, he doesn't have the experience, right? But he is very young, very talented, very gifted, and I do believe could be better, much better than Jackson Hayes in a year or so, right? If you give him the proper development, give him the proper opportunity. So to me, I look at it as, get him on a two-way deal whenever you're finished. I don't think he's going anywhere anytime soon. If he does, then it's unfortunate, but I just don't see that because, again, I just don't think teams are going to be rushing to bring Koloko in any type of capacity. But the Lakers ended up waiving Demoy Hodge, right? And they ended up getting Windler, and then they also got rid of Alex Fudge, bringing in Mays, and I do believe that those two are at some point going to be relocated to the main roster, right? Especially Mays. You're seeing Mays get a ton of just action, right? Not a ton, but you get my point. Like, he's played on pretty much every game since he's came in, and he's looked good. I really like what we're seeing from Skylar Mays. And I just think that if the Lakers do end up making some type of trade, some type of impact trade, they're going to end up putting them on the main roster. That will free up two-way spots. Go take a flyer on Koloko on a two-way spot. You can always just waive him, right? You can always just release him, right? So if something better comes along, or say you get to draft day and there's somebody that you really like, then you can always just unload Koloko and it's not it doesn't hurt. But I do like the idea of just getting him under team control. So that way, if he can get back, right, hopefully he can at least get back with even just 20 games left, kind of spend the time getting over the respiratory issue. You have your medical staff, have your medical team kind of invest in him a little bit. And then if he can get back to, 20 games of action or whatever in the G League, like, that'd be cool, right? That'd be great. Let him get a little burn, let him get a little run, maybe have him play with your summer league team, kind of get a good look at him. And then if you need to make a decision, you can make a decision, right? If it's like, okay, well, hey, he's just, we're higher on this guy over here that, maybe he's younger or, a draft pick or whatever, right? Some undrafted guy, whatever the case may be, I'm okay with that. But I don't mind the idea of Koloko. It's not something that I think the Lakers need to rush to do or should happen immediately, right? It's not something that I think is like priority, like go get Koloko. Like, the Lakers would be foolish not to go get him. No, it's nothing like that. But I do like the idea of getting a true young center that has good athleticism, good size behind him, has shown that he could develop a shot. And basically you have kind of your project big. We'll see what the Lakers do with Jackson Hayes. Problem is that if the Lakers don't end up trading Jackson Hayes, then a couple things. One is Koloko at that point probably doesn't make any sense. But again, you could just waive him. Your hope is that Jackson Hayes, that you either trade Jackson Hayes or B, Jackson Hayes ends up opting out because he's like, I'm not getting an opportunity here. Why do I want to be here for a vet minimum when I could go to another team, take a vet minimum, and actually get more run? Then to me, it's like, okay, you have Anthony Davis, go get a legit center, and then have Koloko as like your third center, backup big, whatever. Right? To me, I'd be looking at Koloko more for next season than this current season. But anyway, as always, this is a discussion, so I pass the question on to you. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments below. What do you think? Do you like the idea of Koloko on a potential two-way deal? Would you bring him on the main roster? Again, you got to keep in mind, we don't know if he's going to be able to play at all this season. He has yet to play a game this year. His last game was the 2022-2023 season. So he's played 0 games this year, and there is no signs that he's going to come back and play any games at all this season. So again, if you're looking for him or you're looking at him as like, oh, this is a guy that you absolutely need to get, and he could be a backup big for us this season, that's very likely not going to happen. And even if he does come back, he's probably not going to come back with enough time for him to even crack any minutes or anything like that to prove himself. So to me, that's why I lean towards like get him on a two-way, bring him in that way, right? Move Mays into the not starting unit, but the main roster, right? Move Mays to the main roster, bring Koloko in on a two-way. Again, you don't have to do it right now. It's not a rush. I don't see Koloko going anywhere. And again, if he does, no big deal, right? There's always going to be another Koloko somewhere that is promising young center that you could grow and develop. I'm not worried about that. But I really do like Koloko, and I do really think that he's a guy that could make an impact later on down the road, maybe even potentially move into a starting center role, although I really like Colin Castleton, right? Like, I think Colin Castleton could maybe get some spot minutes right now, but it's just the Lakers need more win now guys, where I think, Brandon Koloko, you have Colin Castleton. He's a piece that is very likely going to be good long-term for you. Maybe he goes into the starting role and Koloko is your backup, vice versa, whatever, right? Especially if Koloko can develop like a consistent three-point shot and you can actually develop him into somewhat of a shooter, then I think the Lakers would be in really great shape because you could play him at the 3, you could play him at the 4, you could even play him alongside Colin Castleton. Kind of develop him into like a 7-foot Christian Wood, right? A guy that can, play out on the perimeter a little bit, play down low. If you can kind of develop him and make him versatile in that way, then I really like that. But again, however you feel, whatever your thoughts are, I would love to hear it. So let me know down in the comments below. That being said, if you haven't liked this video, hit that like button. Helps me out a lot, lets me enjoy these types of videos, and I truly appreciate it. If you're not subscribed to the channel, hit that subscribe button, turn on the bell notifications. Appreciate y'all. See you in the next one. Thank you.